Oh, look, I don't have a classic Australian ochre accent, mate, because, it's just not acceptable.
And that's how we go live. Love it.
And sorry, ochre the flockers, chocker. But, sorry. You were saying something?
Hello, everybody. It's been a hot minute. Hi. It is me, Alex, your perpetually disheveled host, with my other two hosts that are far more illustrious. It has been a hot second. Do not laugh at me. But
I'm just thinking of myself as illustrious. What?
Yeah, same.
Take the compliment. Hi. We've missed you guys. Could you tell? Anyways, yes. Welcome to Talk Nerdy to Me, our Cybernation by night. And it is, we've got some stuff to cover. It had a little bit of backlog in the past couple months, but here we are now. I've introduced myself. And Gomi, make your introductions.
Hell, I'm Gomi. That's about all I need to say. I'm doing the tech reviews, and I'm human technically. And if I get anything wrong, we'll just accept it and we'll move on.
And
I love it. I'm Rem. Hi, guys. I am the owner and founder of Rem Alternatives Productions, a nerdy media production company, and the marketing and community director for Catalyst Game Lab. So, hi.
And that's us. So as we normally do, since I think we want to always end on a high note. And it's generally it is tech and primarily AI we've been covering in the tech section. Let's just get right into it. If I can just remember how.
Yeah, I like how we end on a high note. So I've got to start nice and low to get us up to that height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like every other episode we do, everyone.
Every month is a hero's journey. It's fine.
Yes. First out of the gate, we have this idea of techno-feudalism. Now, this is a book by Yanis Varoufakis. Back in 2016, he was the Greek finance minister for about 8 months, give or take, before the Greek economy went into collapse. And it wasn't his fault anyway. But he's, I've been only a couple of chapters in, but basically he's looking at, what the hell's happening to capitalism these days? Because we all know social media, those outlets, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, et cetera, designed to capture our attention and keep us engaged. So he explores how capitalism is reliant on a market to sell its products. But the fact that Amazon exists and is the market for books now, pretty much without exception, that we're now stuck in this new idea of a digital Cold War. I'm not too sure how to express it, because against Amazon, you've got the like of Tencent and Alibaba, who are both large tech giants out of China. And Amazon's taking, I believe, 40% off the top of everything it sells. So this is why it's a massive company. But no one noticed this happen, basically. The only thing I can sort of think of linking it to myself is there's a William Shatner TV series, was ghostwritten for William Shatner so he could star in it, called Tech War or Tech Lords. Early mid-90s? Yeah, mid-90s, give or take. And, it's basically these people who have economies of scale larger than most governments or countries, as we were sort of discussing a little bit earlier. And so you've got this situation where I would guess that the likes of some governments have to keep printing money, otherwise their economies will collapse. But with the likes of Amazon taking a percentage off the top. And if you ever had to do any sales through stuff like the app stores for Google or the Apple equivalent, they're taking 30% off the top. So, you've got these platforms that you get locked into that you have to make this agreement with that are just basically taking a large percentage off the top of potential profits for virtually no supply.
1 second, Gomi.
Yeah?
Your camera is bugging out on my end. You've become a GIF.
Oh, great. Well, as long as you can still hear me, it's probably better than my face. So this leads to, these systems get set up. So when Facebook first started, it was, you got a feed of all your friends, you got people you could contact, things that worked for you. And I'm going to have to apologise for the Australian internet, and I could blame a particular political party down here because they're fuckwits, and my opinion of them will never change. Mm-hmm. Sorry for that bit of Australian slang. If you don't know what it is, I'm certain you could look it up somewhere.
I'm going to use it forever now.
Look, in terms of that sort of stuff, politically, they made the decision to destroy the fibre optic version of an internet we could have had. So we didn't get it. Anyhow, back to this. So you got this system where customers get drawn in early because it's free, because it's easy to connect with your friends. And then they draw in advertisers to sell to said customers because they've got a big customer base. And then they start profiteering off the top. So the likes of, I think, Twitter didn't turn a profit for a decade. There are a lot of these companies that didn't. And it looks like you're having problems, Alex. Great. As long as you can still hear me, I'll keep crapping on.
No, it's the camera on my end. You were like pixel tearing and looping, and now you're back to normal on my end. So.
As I said, crap internet in Australia. But this whole process that Varoufakis is talking about is basically how these platforms have grabbed our attention and are bound us to use them on a regular basis. And so, when you look at getting a book, you go to Amazon and either you get the Kindle version or you get the hard copy, whichever. But regardless, if Amazon goes down, you've lost all your books unless you've got hard copy.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who passed on about a decade ago, he had a huge iTunes library.
Yep.
But on the event of his death, ownership of that library disappeared. And so Apple could then charge the next generation for said things. So this is like this whole feudalism kind of process because we're now serfs working these platforms, providing them with free content such as YouTube and Twitch, which, if you're doing stuff for them, you're doing stuff for them. So, there's this whole panopticon of things going on. But there's also this system, and this, to my mind, links to Blank Reg from Max Headroom, the Max Headroom TV series, about how he's pushing stuff into it, but he's also outside of it. Don't know how that can happen, but we'll hopefully look into it over the next coming month. But this brings me to the other major point in tech, which is Cory Doctorow's talk at DEF CON 31, which is his audacious plan to halt the enshittification of the internet, which is the process I've just described from techno-feudalism.
Is enshittification another Australian term?
Or is that technical?
No, it came from him. It's a technical term.
I love it.
Where things become shit. Excrement.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pissing in the shallow end of the gene pool. To give you a wonderful visual there.
Yep.
But, first platforms grab users, they abuse their users and make better business for their business consumers, and then they abuse businesses by basically clawing all that value back for themselves. So he's got a 45-minute talk on this sort of stuff and a book that follows up that I've requested, but, he's looking at saying, well, we need to set up these systems so that it is easy to switch and easy to do certain particular things, but a lot of that relies on legislation, which I don't want to go into because, God, it's boring, but it's the kind of stuff that needs to happen. We need to be able to reclaim these spaces for ourselves, get what is best described as a commons. It's why I'm a fairly big advocate for Creative Commons licensing, in that software should be free to observe, to look, to examine, to explore, to bug find, to correct, to go, no, this is a flaw, we're not using it, or whatever, to lead to that level of awareness. So, yeah. Anyhow.
That level of awareness, though, is so hard to get into the majority of the public, and it's so easy to use. Like, you can Amazon for being an evil company, but chances are you still order from them anyway.
Yes.
Because it's so easy. So it's,
definitely.
It's hard to get that across and reverse, like put the brakes on the the train that's been going in this direction. I used to work for college bookstores.
Yeah.
And so, I was the epitome of the bad guy running a college bookstore when it's like, dude, Amazon is undercutting us just so that they can get the entire market. And then
Yes.
what happens. Like
Yeah.
for years, they've been working on this and
Oh, yeah.
decades at this point. So, yeah, totally agree.
So, yeah, and that's basically in the tech IT general sphere of, let's go the digital horizon or the world out there. Jumping back to AI, in an event of what I looked at and read the title and thought, no shit, Sherlock, MIT researchers discovered that deep neural networks do not see the world the same way we do.
What?
They don't think like us. Shock horror. In that the way that they process information leads to all sorts of weird hallucinations and all that sort of things that, we've been seeing a lot of over the last chunk of time. So, yeah. But there's also that classic of brain uploading, making yourself into an AI by copying your brain, which, of course, is just a copy. Now, most neuroscientists think that the brain operates in what they call a classical manner, like a computer. But one of the leading, well, I can't say he's an AI researcher, but Roger Penrose, who wrote a book on The Emperor's New Mind, or called The Emperor's New Mind, about AI about 30 plus years ago, and I can't remember much of the details because it was just too much for my brain at the time. But he was talking about how there's actually some sort of weird quantum structure in the neurons that lead to consciousness. So we're not a simple binary on-off computer. We're something more complicated.
Okay.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's that was those just purely science fiction concepts like 25 years ago.
Well, and it's funny because I feel like I have multiple segues from tech to gaming today, thanks to you. But getting into Shadowrun and technomancers can they're kind of mentally or magically or whatever connected to devices, to internet, to whatever.
Yeah.
And we've said a lot of times that Shadowrun has accidentally predicted the future, writing 60 years in advance. And so some of the stuff where one of the theories is that deep in the resonance realms that only these technomancers can access is you could technically find the saved consciousness of someone else, because the brain is just another computer. Every is data to be stored.
Have you ever read Isaac Asimov's Foundation series?
I haven't.
Okay, because in one of the latter ones of that, you come across a batch of psychics, and they can do all the regular psychic powers, which is sort of like super advanced psychology kind of stuff. But the thing is, they're also accessing memories that are in deep storage in their planet. So they have that whole stream of consciousness thing that you would have seen in the Bene Gesserit of Dune, and that sort of stuff that, that we get these ideas from what appears to be random places, and it may be just observing the environment and just brain processing in the background, or it might be some unforeseen connection with other people. Don't know. But to continue on like that brain uploading kind of thing, Alex, you reminded me of this article about the poisoning of AI with nightshade. And so when the AI goes out onto the internet to grab stuff and add it to its own learning model, basically nightshade can be set up so that the images it grabs and it's trying to index are purposely designed to create more problems than it's worth. So this is kind of an extension of the idea I talked about glaze a little while back, like a couple of months back, in that the glaze is designed to make it so that AIs can't read your images. It just looks like garbage. Whereas this one is a step up from that, and it's actually poisoning the AIs. One of the best memes I found, and I can't find it anymore, is a Doctor Who one from about the silence. And somebody posted a blank white image that says, I can't remember what I posted this, but if you tilt your laptop screen back, because of the TFT the way the screen works, the silence appears, and then you tilt it back up and it disappears.
Oh, oh,
Start making tally marks on your
Yes.
That's the
Well, along the lines of tally marks, I've been watching The Bodies recently, so that's another bit of fun time travel adventure.
yeah, but I think I've said this just really. I think I've said this before when we talked about AI, where it's and you brought the Bene Gesserit from Dune. We are like 6,000 years ahead of schedule for the Butlerian Jihad, but here we are.
Well, I don't know when the Butlerian Jihad happened because I haven't read that part of the books. But anyhow,
I want to say like 8,000. That timeline is. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Space factories being deployed. Different research saying that a consciousness actually relies on quantum entanglement, which pig to human transplants. An 85-year-old man is the second person to receive a genetically modified pig heart in the growing field of medical research. The first one, I think, the first patient died after 2 months due to multiple factors, including prior health. I don't know how the current person's going because I haven't gone back to double check, but a little bit of interesting biotech.
I feel like I'm obligated to say all men are pigs.
With the weather I've been having in California, I've been sweating like one. That's for damn sure.
I mean, other bits of weirdness that I can throw in there. DNA and combined with glass to make ultra strong but light materials. They're building compound eyes. So you know how a insect eye works with all the little compound parts. They're using the same tech, and it looks like they actually used that for the Apple goggle project. Basically a compound array that then, when it displays the screen on the inside to you, it stitches all those bits together. So using some fairly simple stuff on that sort of thing. If you want me to keep going, I've got plenty more, but let's have a look. Giant robots, lasers bending lightning bolts.
Oh. Okay.
What?
If only because this as a GM who's been long suffered of the chain lightning spell. Let's go with that one before we transition into tabletop stuff, because one, that sounds like an 80s metal cover, and two, the sci-fi nerd is curious.
Well, I mean, you know how most buildings have a lightning collector on top,
yeah,
right?
Lightning.
Yeah, to catch the lightning bolts. In this time, basically, they've just used a high-powered laser to catch it and redirect it to where they want. Because, the idea of a laser is a stream of charged particles, and a lightning bolt is a charged particle. So the idea is to catch the lightning bolt as it's coming down to redirect it to where you want. Now, this is going to require nanosecond kind of timing to hit just in front of the lightning bolt as it's arcing down and create enough of a channel to redirect it, if that makes sense.
Cool.
Raven in chat says that sounds like the power of Darkseid. It kind of does. Oh yeah, was it with the omega beams? I think those were called. God, it's been forever, but that's holy shit.
Yeah,
and
there's plenty of other stuff on my list, but I'll throw it over to you, Rim.
Yeah, let's get the sim tabletop stuff.
I've got my own tech thing to talk about with gaming. So this has been tried before. It's not necessarily a new idea, but it has yet to really turn successful. And so I'm really interested in this project. So it's by Boosted Reality Inc., I think, or it might be LLC. I think it's Inc. And they are working on Rift Zone Contact. So what this is a tabletop miniatures war game that has the complexity of a BattleTech or a Warhammer, but all of the minis have RFID tags in them. The barrier to entry for learning all these rules and sitting down and playing, it's all in your phone. So you've got an app. It knows how far apart they are. It knows what each one can do. It can track history from game to game. It can track improvements that you're able to do. And all of that is done through app. So for someone that gets intimidated by war games like me, where it's like, this is a lot of rules to shoot someone. It kind of bypasses that. So if you still like the big crunchy, you can still do the big crunchy, but it also makes it more accessible to lighter gamers.
That's really cool. Huh.
That does sound really cool. I do know one thing I heard of like years back called Golem Arcana.
Yep,
I don't think it used RFID tags, but it was sort of in a similar sort of idea of, you know, making the tabletop more, I suppose, digitally interactive, for want of a better word.
Yeah, and
so you can. Sorry.
it's definitely interesting, and I haven't gotten to look into what was it, Goblin Arcana? Is that what it was?
Golem.
Golem. So I haven't gotten to look into it myself, but I know that it kind of, whenever someone talks about it, they're like, "Oh yeah, the one that crashed and burned." So it'll be interesting to see what comes of this, and if the world of gaming is ready for it, if these guys are ready for it. So.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest barrier for entry for them will be making the tech cheap enough for them to mass produce, because, you know, RFID tags, you can put them inside bloody stickers for products. So as you walk out the beepy gates, they go beepity beep 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 if you're trying to shoplift, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the tech's out there and it's really well established these days. So maybe this time around they'll succeed.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Another bit of news in gaming is, did you guys hear about the Evil Genius lawsuit?
No.
Ooh.
Okay.
So the details, I'll have to pull up the details again. So basically, Evil Genius had an IP for a game that was supposed to come out with a Netflix show. And for whatever reason, I think there's multiple, and it's hard to kind of gauge both sides of the conversation here.
Is this Rebel Moon?
Yes.
Okay.
So they had an RPG, they've written books, they've like, the work is done, and for whatever reason, the IP holder has yanked it and said, nope, we don't want to work with you anymore. So Evil Genius is like, we've got work that's done. There's a rumor, I'm not sure if this is true or not, that the Netflix series was going to use some of the occurrences that was written by the game company in their show. So there's a lawsuit here for them to take on a major corporation. I know this stuff happens in gaming, but most gaming companies are so small and managed by creatives and not business people, so you don't see this happen very often. So it'll be interesting to watch that and see what happens with it.
Evil Genius, the guys who do Fate, or is that somebody else I'm
I don't
thinking
think
of?
they do Fate. There's a bunch of people. There's Evil Hat Production,
I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry.
Evil Genius is, I want to say, Everyday Heroes.
Everyday Heroes. They're newer. They've only been on for a couple years.
I've applied to them a few times to because they have Everyday Heroes has like a lot of like classic like pulpy TV splats. They've got ones like Escape from New York adventures. They've got Highlander adventures, and Squeaky Wheel. So like you want me to write a mummy one? Because that's
Everyday Heroes is cool. So I haven't played the system yet. I went to a trade show though, and they had standees supporting it, and one of their standees was a girl in a wheelchair, and I'm like, I'm in. I don't even care what this is anymore. I'm in. And oddly enough, I ended up sitting next to the CEO on our flight.
Small world.
So we just talked the whole time. I was like, and he's really cool. He comes from business, so he's actually running it like a business. It's going to be really interesting to watch Evil Genius.
Yeah,
okay.
And and even like as a game, like so that one of the biggest critiques people have of like the 5e model is no one ever really gets to 20. So so they cut the progression in half, so the characters go from 1 to 10. And so you get like all, it's not like, oh well, you wait till the second tier of play at like 5th level, and then like every level like you get a bunch of new toys to play with because it's all condensed. And the system is really fun. Any game that allows me to to do the Terminator 2 thing and use strength to shoot a minigun. I was like, yeah, you give me more of that. No,
Let's talk, because I actually know a couple of the guys that work for them now.
Yeah.
So I can get you introduced. But
oh yeah.
But yeah, it's that's going to be an interesting one to watch. And honestly, Evil Genius in general, 2 years ago you never heard anything about him, and now you hear about him everywhere.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm very interested to see what they can do, and what they turn gaming into, the future of gaming into. The great magic heist of 2023 has trial coming soon.
I can't believe that's a thing.
Right.
Yes.
I was like, there's gotta be a funnier way to say this, and there is. So the great magic heist of 2023. The guys were found. We talked about this a few months ago when it happened. But the guys were found, and I think there are trials coming up in the next month or so.
I hope it's televised.
I doubt it's important enough to be, but like, me too. So yeah, so they're getting their comeuppance. What else is happening? Matt Lillard is launching a new Kickstarter coming up for a new game. It's a card game, and he also has a new whiskey line that's fantasy themed. So there's like different dragons and stuff like that. Harebrained Schemes, the video game company, they just were, I don't know if went under is the right term. The company that owned them, I always blank on the big company names. I can name the small companies.
Is it Piranha Games? Or is it Piranha or
Piranha. I
Paradox Interactive?
Maybe.
I think it was Paradox Interactive.
But they got rid of the whole staff. So it's
Okay.
It's done. We don't know yet what they plan to do. Maybe they plan to sell the company. Maybe, who knows? But there were some big IPs that were well loved. Shadowrun was done for video games by them. BattleTech and MechWarrior were done by them for video games. They've got a lot of them out there, so it's sad to see. But we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Well, in terms of BattleTech releases, MechWarrior 5 Clans is due out sometime, I think, next year, which was Paradox Interactive. So the MechWarrior series may well keep going, but the BattleTech turn-based strategy game that Harebrained did, who knows what will happen to it? We'll see.
Yeah. So a couple of other small bits of news. Realm Smith, we partnered with Catalyst, partnered with Realm Smith to produce a live-action D&D Shadowrun game. Kind of Critical Role style, including a lot of the actors that were in Critical Role as like guest arcs. So Christian Navarro was in it, Luis Carrazzo, Anjali Bhimani, Nora Ibrahim. So we had a great cast, and we even had some guest stars like Jason Charles Miller, and then also Emily Swallow, who is the armorer in The Mandalorian. It was her first ever TTRPG experience ever, and she got to play Shadowrun with us, which was so fun.
Man, coming out swinging.
Right?
What a debut.
Gotta bring the Shadowrun back as loudly and frequently as possible. Matt Mercer even made an appearance, so that was pretty cool, and a nice surprise. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about one con. So I've gone to 8 to 10 cons this year, for Catalyst for the most part. I've traveled basically at least once a month since March.
Wow.
And I just went to one for the first time in Madison, Wisconsin. It's Gamehole Con, and honestly, I think it's my favorite ever. Gamehole Con. It's got the stupidest ass name, but I love it. It's very intimate. It's kind of like Gary Con. A lot of celebrities show up, a lot of designers and stuff. You have a chance to play with them when you rarely ever do for special guests and stuff because they sell out or are too expensive. I got to play with some like big people in gaming that like I've seen at other cons and never just get a chance to play with for like $8. So I got to play 7 games. I never get to game at cons anymore, ever. So that was amazing. It's a little vendor hall with a lot of niche vendors, and it's all RPG. They've got room for other things too, a little space, but like it's mainly RPG. True Dungeon was there, and for a small con to have True Dungeon, like it's pretty darn cool. So Monty Cook actually attended, and it was their first time out since before COVID. So yeah, I if you get the chance to, if there's one con I can recommend out of all the ones and all the trade shows that I've been to this year, GaryCon used to be my favorite, and now it's Gamehole. So you should check it out.
And you said it was intimate. I would certainly hope a place called Gamehole would at least be a little bit intimate. So, no, but that is really cool. It's one of those things where, like, yeah, you see a smaller convention, you just get bigger and bigger and bigger. But before Games Day, just stopped being a thing. That was one of the other 3 cons I would attend. At least here in my neck of the woods in California, it'd be WonderCon, Comic-Con, and Games Day. Because we all had that friend who had that thing in nerddom, which would just come and get like the merchant and RE4, like, what are you buying? And with him, it was my high school buddy was like White Dwarf, and there went all of my money forever. But yeah, no, it's the small cons are they're a gift, and treasure them, because if they're small,
definitely,
and they're great, they're gonna get bigger, and as things get bigger, they become a hype.
Well, not always, because like Melbourne used to have four RPG based cons running scattered throughout the year, and as far as I can tell these days, there's really only one that's left over. Another one's trying to get rebooted. But we still get PAX and Supernova and flavors of the American cons over here. It's sort of everybody flies over for a weekend, they do their thing, and then they head back to the US, and it dotters itself around Australia because it's fairly big here.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned that Gamehole Con feels like Gen Con did when it was still in Wisconsin before it got massive. You get a lot of the industry folks. You walk into a room. I sat down and someone was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm marketing for Catalyst." And they were like, "Oh, hi, I'm Shane Hensley and the founder of Pinnacle." Oh, okay, Mr. Savage Worlds. Hi. So you just love and every interaction, you run into everyone that's there. Like, it's small enough that you can't miss them. Also, the food trucks are wonderful.
Oh, that's the one constant with conventions. The food trucks outside, there's things you couldn't eat on a regular basis, but you're putting in 30,000 steps a goddamn day at a convention. Yep. So you at least wash out. Yeah, it's the bratwursts at WonderCon.
Everywhere I go, there's the place like Origins in Columbus. I'll eat 4 times at one place because I found the place that is so good.
The Golden Child, yeah. No, oh man, same. That is one of the best things. Like, Comic-Con too, going but also because I've been going to Comic-Con for I'm old. We've been 15 years, almost annually been going to Comic-Con, and this every year, especially after I hit 21, I found the really good places to go to. The Werewolf in San Diego, my absolute favorite.
Ooh, awesome.
No, it's there's convention food is if that's where half the money goes, at least.
I need to get better at posting on Instagram of all my travels and stuff, because I'm very bad at it. But something that could help me is it's a gaming Instagram, and yet I would be like, so I'm heading here for this con. Where's the food? Tell me where the food is.
No, but that'll fit because the Venn diagram of especially tabletop gamers and people that like questionably healthy snacks, that Venn diagram is almost a circle. So you'll be like, oh yeah, no, this nacho place, this place, you'll want for nothing. Yeah.
good
Okay.
artery hardening stuff.
Oh, yeah, goodness, if you're gonna be putting in all the steps at a con anyways, again, it's like it never happened, right?
Yeah, right? It's like your metabolism is what it was at 14 again. It's
Yeah, she's doing like a goddamn death march through Hall H. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, between it's like tabletop wise, I just did that what this past month was one that I've had my eyes on. Was it Cities Without Number, which is by within the same chain as Stars Without Number and Worlds Without Number. But this one is the Judge Dredd, legally distinct Judge Dredd and Cyberpunk one.
Okay.
And given that we are here on Cybernation Uncensored, yeah, it's worth mentioning, even though it's like I have a very small. I see you turning red. Finish my thought. And then the conch shell is yours. Yeah, for Cities Without Number, I picked it up because I had kickstarted it and I got it, but it was the big thing for me. Seeing so many people in like the Cyberpunk Reddit, like, oh, cities elsewhere. There's the tables to generate mega buildings, generate neighborhoods, generate cities in general. Absolute like dystopian cyberpunk GM smorgasbord. And it's that alone was worth it. Yes, Rem, you're getting my level of red. What's up?
I can't believe I forgot to say this. While at GameholeCon, one of the 7 games I got to play finally was Cyberpunk Red.
Yes! One of us.
I got my first minis. By the way, Monster Fight Club is one of my clients now.
Nice.
I got my first minis. Hot take, Shadowrun is still better. Magic. Just the magic.
Mhm.
Give me magic.
Having in my transition away from let's go Redbox D&D, into Middle Earth Roleplay and Rollmaster, the next stop after that was Shadowrun. And I love the magic-inspired stuff, and the beautiful Elmore art on the cover. But the nice thing is that with Cyberpunk, you've got that dystopian blend of technology, whereas if it's got fantasy and elves and magic and stuff, it still feels hopeful, if that makes sense. I know it, having read through the backgrounds and stuff and played through first and second edition, yes, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that makes it less happy.
I would argue, though, that it being cyberpunk is hopeful because being punk is punching up. So, like, yeah, it goes badly a lot, and the world is a fucking shit show. I had to think for a second what show I was on. It is a shit show, but the fact is, like, you're doing what you can to subvert the corpse. You're doing what you can to get a piece of goodness back. You're playing the criminals. That doesn't mean you're the bad guys. And that's what I love about Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
So
I think both have their little niche. I mean, the weird thing is I took a sideways journey into cyberspace, which is a game that popped up, released, let's go with 10 books, maybe only 9, and then disappeared before 93, I think. So nobody really knows of it, but I had it, I read it, and like most of the stuff done by Iron Crown Enterprises, it's extremely number crunchy and rules heavy, unfortunately, which is one of the things that killed it. The nice thing about Shadowrun is it's been really rules light. I don't know about 6th, but I've played a bit of 5th. But yeah.
The game I played of Cyberpunk, I'm sure it had pre-gens and stuff like that, but the character sheet was a page and a half versus Shadowrun, which is usually 5 pages.
Yeah.
So it's just Shadowrun is so crunchy, and I did like from Cyberpunk that it was a very easy transition for me to play, where it was like, oh, this is the same setup. You have a Johnson meet, you have the legwork you do, you have the run that inevitably goes sideways, and then you have the big fight, the pink mohawk, because your black trench coat did not work. So like it felt very similar. It was just like the thing that I always like about Magic users, and especially in a world not dissimilar to our own, but futuristic, is that it for me, it's less about playing the barbarian and punch or shoot my way out of things, and it's more of like, what spells and what assets do I have that can get me out of a situation a little more
Or even,
strategically.
or even just clever plays, coming up with an idea that nobody's ever thought of, that go, oh yeah, well, let's try this stupid idea.
Yeah,
And then, of course,
it's
it
something
works.
to shoot out someone's tires as they're trying to get away from you, but it's another thing to cast Ice Sheet and they fuck themselves over with that roll, kind of thing.
Yes.
And so I definitely see the place for both. I didn't dislike it. I had a lot of fun, but if I had my choice, I'd play a mage. Honestly, I'd play a face if I did Cyberpunk, because I'd be like, all right.
Yeah, the thing that's the perpetually for me, and I've mentioned it before, the nothing gives me more blonde moments than Shadowrun's dice mechanics. And it's like, because I love Shadowrun's lore, but for the sixth world is definitely the easiest to consume. It still gives me a brain hemorrhage. Because I have to fight my ginger cat for the one ginger brain cell in the house, and I can't. But the lore of Shadowrun, I've always loved it, and I also, every time I try and get into a game, it always seems to fall apart and collapse like the Holy Roman Empire. So one day,
it's the one thing that I think FASA did really well is, both with Shadowrun and BattleTech, is they had deep and expansive lore, because I think they had a lot of history people writing stuff for them and just extrapolating all over the place. Yeah. And same with Earthdawn as well. Just linking back to Humble Bundles, last month there was a Shadowrun Humble Bundle up, but it's now lapsed. But we do have Vampire the Masquerade and Warhammer pen and paper RPG stuff. And also Doctor Who audio dramas.
Ooh.
And in celebration of Halloween, Elizabeth Sladen's daughter dressed up as Sarah Jane Smith from Doctor Who. If you know anything about Tom Baker era Doctor Who of the early 80s, you'll know who this character is. But yes, it was just really cool. And of course, because it's the daughter, it's spitting image kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Also in Bundle of Holding, we've got Cult stuff, Palladium stuff, Dungeon Crawl Classic Funnels for level 0 characters to grind them out, I suppose, and something called Nirubu, which I've never heard of before, sci-fi role-playing game on lost memories on the continent, on a space station the size of a continent, if that's your jam.
I do love my macro size technology. That is... And that's one of the things why many reasons why I stuck with Warhammer. It's Titan. What is a Titan? Oh yeah, and then it's like, oh, that's a lot of kilometers written in a book, and then you see like the Forge World one that's the size of like a freaking 6-year-old kid. It's like, oh my god.
I just did
something to be said for giant stompy robots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just got to play BattleTech at GameholeCon as well for the first time, and I understand the fun now. It was at first I was like doing 10 damage, 15 damage, whatever. And then I got the bigger mechs. It was a grinder, so it was like every time you die, you get a bigger mech. And when I could do with one weapon, double tap it and do 40 damage, and then someone unloaded full Alpha Strike on me, and I looked at my damage at the end and went, "Oh, that's cute." That was when I was like, "This is fun."
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. Oh man. I wish when like mini wargaming wasn't so expensive, because I miss it. I miss it so much.
This is why I have a 3D printer.
That's even cheaper.
Yeah, true.
Because there's so much stuff up on Cults 3D, My Mini Factory, and other places that you can just download, or even Thingiverse, you can just download and use. If you want to get fancy and patronize people, you can, but yes, it's a cheaper way into the hobby. Yeah, the cost of entry is not as much.
Yeah, well, the cost of entry is getting a decent 3D printer, and that's the one thing True. It's on the docket. It's when they working like 3 different freelance jobs. But God, speaking of, we have 10 minutes left, and we've talked of we talked like wargaming stuff, which that's going to be a quick and easy transition into one of the first reviews I have for geek stuff, primarily gaming. And this within the last month, Warhammer 40K Darktide, which had a decent release. It was all right. Had a major overhaul that completely changed the way the game is played. And now it went from being like, it's okay, it's not as good as Vermintide 2, but now to the point where like the free time I get, I will hop in and slay the shit out of some heretics. That's the way they reorganized the game with like skill trees and aside from like the soundtrack being a collection of bangers. The soundtrack and sound design is in games is always gonna be a big selling point for me because it immerses. I can forgive whatever mechanical stuff, but they made the mechanics really freaking polished, and now so altogether it is a whole new ball game. If you have it and you haven't picked it up because it got old, reinstall it, play it again, give it a try. Because all the new the class trees are super fun. I love running with all my friends doing an all Ogren team. So no one can see anything on the screen because we're all double wides. But the one of the class items now is a hand grenade, but Ogren sized. So imagine throwing a hand grenade the size of a watermelon. Yeah, it's it's been great. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And speaking of Cyberpunk, I'm sure everyone in Cybernation, bless you, Rumi. It's the everyone here in Cybernation is well aware. Phantom Liberty came out. Speaking of tech, like mechanical overhauls, that has been fun.
Oh, good. Just so you know, it's available for half price on Humble Bundle.
Ooh.
And I paid full price for it, man. Anyway,
But you got more fun,
Yeah.
so you know.
Full gremlin there.
Yeah, that's I am the perpetually disheveled host. It's getting, I think it's almost midnight for you, Rem. So that I'm becoming a gremlin. But no, it is because whenever I don't GM or when I'm playing a game, I like to be the brick. You know, if I'm playing tabletop, if I have the chance to play tabletop, I want to be the barbarian because I just want to grab something and just like punch them so hard they do the pug thing. And I get to do that in Phantom Liberty. I've become the Terminator. I'm playing a Night City, but I am the Terminator. I am RoboCop, and I just walk forward, slap someone for the audacity of looking at me, and they just turn into red pixels. It's so satisfying.
The classic solo defense of turn into a red mist.
Yeah.
I've had a couple do that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty like when you get the gorilla arms, and having played Scarecrow, and I see Raven thinking we need to brainstorm Scare Bear, just Scarecrow's other call sign among his friends. But yeah, when he's like you pull the Henry Cavill thing, it's like reload your biceps, and you smack someone, and they just represent bolognese. It's great. It's so much fun.
You just mentioned Henry Cavill, and I think we should drop this one in here as well, talking about banging soundtracks and Henry Cavill. There's looking like a remake of Highlander with the guy who was the director from the John Wick movies. And they're planning on keeping the Queen soundtrack if they can.
Ooh.
So
don't give me hope.
Yes, that's good.
Oh, I hope we stand our Nerd King. Yes, and especially since because they've been teasing the Henry Cavill Warhammer series. I having gone like in the last month through 3 of the Eisenhorn books. I want that so bad. Eisenhorn being 40K's Sherlock Holmes, basically.
Oh, cool.
Yes, if Sherlock Holmes said being elementary, it's like, oh yes, exterminatus, and would yeah, it's like it's Moriarty doesn't go to prison. Moriarty gets like his mind flayed. It's a super fun series. I love a good murder mystery with a twist, and that's why like I loved the Dresden Files so much, because it's murder mystery noir with a twist of magic and supernatural and everything exists, and this it is like very like murder mystery, who done it, but it's a Warhammer 40K inquisitor going out and doing his his highbrow cyber monocle stuff. And man, there's so much. It's been months. Into the segue with the investigation. I don't know if people here love the Poirot stories as much, the Hercule Poirot stories as much as I do, because again, I love mysteries. The latest one, oh yeah, exactly,
Ooh.
Raven. I hope he.
Haunting in Venice.
It was so good.
Went and saw that in the cinema.
I saw it in the big screen. I wasn't sure what to expect, because like Death in the Nile was good. It had a sprinkling of sequelitis for me, but this one was tonally so different. Yeah, I like it's for those who have not a weak constitution, but it's primarily if you are easily startled and people who have might have like heart problems. There's jump scares in it, so be forewarned.
Yeah.
But it doesn't rely solely on jump scares, which I appreciate. It
was very atmospheric.
Yeah, it's grand old time, and that's.
And the thing I noticed going through it is that he seems to be doing callbacks. This is Brenner, the director, filmically to like a lot of classic movies of earlier eras. It has a lot of that, has stronger quality filmmaking in it that I associate mentally with like 40 plus years ago. So yeah, was really a really nice piece.
Awesome.
I'm still counting off of my fingers. Did I get everything? Hold on. I have show notes for that reason. Ahsoka. I can't call myself a Star Wars fan anymore. Ahsoka was it, and it was weird on that still laughing. God. Oh, of course, Raven. Of course, you play a Harlequin, Raven. Anyway, but different sci-fi franchise, Ahsoka. I wasn't sure what to expect going in. It was very Arthurian, which I really liked. It was
okay.
I was sad to see Ray Stevenson. It was I've been following Ray Stevenson ever since he was in the HBO Rome series. It's his final performance as an actor. So but he had a gravitas. He definitely stole the show. Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn was captivating. The villains are like the bread and butter of the show. Ahsoka's fantastic, but with a lot of hero journeys, the hero's adventure is only so good as the villains that give them the drive, and they definitely went through that in spades. There's a weight, like a kind of like Kylo Ren without the three the crossguard lightsaber. But this Ray Stevenson's like Dark Knight, like Arthurian Black Knight as a Star Wars character was so cool. It was very, it had a lot of extra space whimsy even for Star Wars. It opens the door for a lot of cool, weird esoterica within the franchise. And it's definitely like a good stepping stone. I think a lot of this was like foundation work for a season 2 being really, really good. This wasn't bad, but it's like with any like big meta arc, it feels like they were kind of like setting stuff up for later.
Okay.
But all in all, I'd recommend it. It's worth a watch. But I think to my books, the game stuff, the movies, the shows.
Mhm.
I think that's it for me.
Well,
It has
I
been-
mean, I'm pretty much done as well. I mean, the only book I can mention is the discovery of an Egyptian Book of the Dead buried in a cemetery.
I've seen this movie.
So have I. Great movie. It's 3,500 years old. Contains numerous. The cemetery itself is 3,500 years old. It's got all sorts of stuff in it, and they're just sort of going through and digging it up. So well,
I'm going to say the thing that must be said. Put it back.
Yeah.
Leave it there.
Yeah, as
Walk away. Back away slowly.
As was said in The Mummy, no, you mustn't read from the book. What happened from reading a book? Yeah, it's the what kind of
Just once, I'd love there to be a story of like something monumental in science or history or something like that happens that's totally the plot of a movie, and someone actually listens to the movie and doesn't do the stupid thing.
But it's the that is the ultimate like the core crux of the storytelling. It's not and then it's like thing happens, therefore. It's like, oh, person does dumb thing, therefore bad things happen. Fuck around, therefore find out.
Yes.
The only truth of life that I've ever seen with that is any like, you should go check it out, and the black person in the group is like, fuck you, you go check it out.
20 years. 20
Let's
years
all go
of
together and you
films.
in front.
Yeah. Let's split up, gang. Fuck you, Fred. Yeah. Which it's a parting note. Speaking of the Scooby-Doo and the Quest and whiskey, Lillard is in the Five Nights at Freddy movie, and he was magic. It was so good seeing him, even for the little cameo that he was.
He's a good person too. Like, support his stuff.
Good egg. But that is, I think that's our time, and that is at the very least all I wrote. So once again, thank you everyone who showed up to come in and listen to us be talking heads on the internet. I am Alex, your increasingly disheveled host, joined by the lovely Gomi and Rem. Rem, where can they find you on the web space?
Rem Alternus on Facebook and Instagram, though I need to post there more, as I've discussed. I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/masterofrem. I'm at Catalyst Game Labs YouTube. I run all their socials. Shadowcasters Network for Shadowrun content. And you can watch our Facebook page at Rem Alternus Productions to see all the cool Kickstarters we're working on, like Hellslayers, which is a Morkborg setting. That's demons in space. We've got the Kevin J. Anderson Persephone book that is live now and about halfway through. So we're getting close to $30,000. So check that out. Support Kevin. I think those are the ones that are live. Oh, we have one launching Tuesday for Catalyst. That's 2 board games. Parachute Panda and Fandooble. Fandooble is a dungeon crawling, dragon hunting treasure adventure. And Parachute Panda is about skydiving pandas that happen to be skydiving over a crocodile pit, and you want to be the last one to land, so the crocodile gets full on all your friends and you survive. So, for the kids.
Nice clean stuff.
That one will be on Backer Kit. So check them out and follow our Facebooks.
All right. And Gomi, where can they find you if they can?
I'm out there. I'm on the Impossible Emporium, my website, and also have a YouTube channel, but I'm mainly just posting 3D animated content at the moment. So I've got a few Cyberpunk ads that I've put together a while back now, but I've been dabbling with a piece of 3D software called Blender and seeing what I can make with it and break with it for that part. So Impossible Emporium.
All right, yeah. And then you can find me at I haven't looked. I've got my own Twitter in forever at Alex R Maxwell on Twitter. Because Twitter makes me sad most of the time, man. But
I don't twit anymore.
I don't. Yeah. Well, it's Xing now, whatever the hell. But
Yeah.
that's usually where you can find me. Otherwise, you can find me in the Cybernation Uncensored Discord. Discord is the best place to find me for just about anything. Um, so yeah, if you see me around on Cybernation, poke and say hi. If I don't answer, I'm either working or I'm asleep. Um, but other than that, I hope everyone has had a great time. I know I certainly have. And as for audience, I'll be seeing you later. Later, everybody.